When you get stuck in the place of doing all the things as you are trying to conceive, it's normal to chase that one magic pill that's going to get you over the line, that new magic supplement, that test you haven't done yet, and to keep looking outside of yourself for the answers. Today, I want to talk about one powerful but very simple shift that changed everything for me when I was trying to conceive. It wasn't a supplement, it wasn't a doctor, it wasn't another protocol, and it was so much simpler than all of that. And I can't wait to share it with you. Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so that you can stop stressing that you'll never have your baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today and sharing your time and your energy. And I appreciate having you here so much. Now, this episode is going to be going live in November. And I know at the end of the year, it's that time of the year where all of the things are happening, all of the holidays are happening, whether you are religious or not, there have been so many examples of these family gatherings and all of these celebrations that bring up a lot for us. So I think this is really timely because I know it is so hard, even years and years later since I have ended my fertility journey. I will still be out every now and then, and occasionally I'll see a family with several children and they're all close in age and I get triggered. And I know that how much harder that is when you're in the thick of things as well. So I think that this is a time where we really want to go into what are all of the things that you are doing on your journey? What are all of the things that are having an influence? And how much are they helping you? I want you to really take stock of that in this episode. And that's why this is going to be so timely, because it is a time of the year where things do feel harder. I want to speak about today on this episode about what I think was hands down the most powerful and important shift that I made on my entire fertility journey. And it wasn't, well, what else can I do in order to get pregnant? It wasn't, what more can I add? What haven't I thought of yet? It was the one thing that changed everything for me. And this was a shift that was coming from inside of me. It was that shift from thinking, well, this will be the thing that will help me to get pregnant, or this is the thing I'm going to add to my life. I shifted from that into, I'm the one that's going to help me get pregnant. So this episode was actually inspired by a troll on Instagram, of which I have many, which I think is just the nature of the world these days when you decide to publicly put your views out into the online space. So I have a lot of free resources that I give out to people, and you can always access those just if you're interested. The links to all of those are in the show notes. I have lots of free resources that I speak about on a lot of my social media posts. And I had this one person decide to write me a message saying basically what a hypocrite I was. Here I am constantly saying you shouldn't need to add more to your life. Don't keep going and looking for the next thing and the next thing. Yet here I am saying do yoga, do meditation, do some breath work. Here's another thing you need to add to your life if you're trying to conceive. And I completely understand where this person is coming from. I get it. I really do. Especially when you are in the thick of it. It feels like you have 10,000 so-called experts all telling you sorts of crazy and awful things on social media. You need to do this, you need to do that. You have to buy this tea or this herbal remedy or wear this fertility bracelet. I think that was my favorite one that I found this year. It was the fertility bracelet that was going to make all the difference. But what this person was missing was one really, really crucial factor. And this is, instead of this idea of adding more to your day, what I want for you and what I want for everyone who comes across my work and all of the information that I put out into the world is this. I want you to find a practice that shows you what you're capable of, that shows you what your body is capable of, instead of constantly looking for the person or the protocol or the doctor or someone else to fix you or someone else to tell you what to do differently. Because for so long, I looked outside of myself for all of those answers. I truly believed that it was someone I just hadn't found yet that had the protocol, they had the right path, they had the tests and the formula, and, I just hadn't found them yet. I hadn't decided on the perfect doctor. I needed to keep searching and keep searching. And I'm sure we can all relate to that feeling of, I just need to keep going because I'm going to get there. But what happens when you do all of these things? You find that wonderful doctor who listens to you and you do everything right. It all works perfectly on paper. Everything should have worked, but things haven't. So what do you do then? Because that is where I find a lot of us then fall down a very dark spiral, because when the best doctor in the world hasn't worked and you've been through X number of rounds of IVF and you're still in that same place of like, well, what's next? That is where we need to do things a little bit differently. Because what I eventually realized is that there was nothing outside of me that could create what I wasn't yet giving myself. I wasn't giving myself trust, safety, belief, and deep connection in what my body was capable of. And even belief in my baby and trusting that they wanted to come to this world as well. So today I really want to share with you what that shift looked like in practical terms and how I started trusting my own intuition and how you can start coming home to your own power as well. So the first part of this I think is really important to point out is, why do we do this? Why do we constantly search outside of ourselves for answers? Because we all do it. It's like the very first step. If we are experiencing fertility issues, we go to our doctor. It's like, well, someone else is going to fix me. And I think it really comes back to what we're not taught, especially as young girls. As teenagers, we are taught from the moment we go through puberty, our periods are shameful. They're something that we need to hide. Heaven forbid someone know that it's that time of the month. We need to go on birth control, hide all of our symptoms. And lo and behold, all of the symptoms that we hide through many, many years of being on hormones all come back as soon as we stop taking birth control. Your cycle is taught that it's something that just gets in the way of our lives. And it's not something that we should embrace or listen to. But really, your cycle is that really insightful and intuitive report card that you get at the end of every month. It literally is telling you whether something needs addressing within your body, whether there's any imbalances. I also feel like sex education is all about, what can go wrong, and heaven forbid that we fall pregnant and it's all our fault and you're going to get STDs. And, we're never taught that perhaps sex should be about pleasure. All of these things are taught from a very, very young age. So when we put all of that together, we are taught that our bodies are not to be trusted and we need to look outside of ourselves to help ourselves through life. So when we hand over our bodies to all of these things that are going to quote unquote fix us, then why is it that when it doesn't work, we still blame ourselves? And I find this incredibly frustrating because your body is always trying to tell you something. You are designed, what's scientifically designed, or what's the word? Like your body is designed to become pregnant within a certain number of years of your life. So if that isn't happening, then there is a reason. And obviously there are a lot of male factors involved as well. But I get it. When you are in the thick of it, when you are surrounding yourself with all of this information around infertility and you want a baby like yesterday, you are willing to do anything. You're willing to listen to anyone who tells you that they have the answers. We hand our power over so quickly and we think, well, they will fix me. They'll have the answer. I'll give you all my money, my time. I just want it right now. And we put our hopes in all of these next tests and supplements and the next specialists. And honestly, I did all of that. I remember I think it was on my second journey, of trying to have my second child. And we were about to start IVF again, and I was struggling to sleep. I had chronic insomnia. And I remember sitting across from this doctor who said, I really think that you need to go on anti-anxiety medication. You're not coping. And I just remember this voice saying, like, that's not the answer, Jen. Like, something was screaming at me, like, that's not it. But I did it. I took all of the anti-anxiety meds. I went on sleeping tablets just so I could finally get some rest. But I didn't actually stop to think what it was my body was trying to tell me amongst all of this. And I think when that last IVF cycle wasn't successful, that was the moment that I realized I had been looking for someone else to give me the answers and to rescue me. And I was completely forgetting that the only person who could truly advocate for what I wanted and what I needed was myself. And that is what I want to help you get to today. I want you to be able to listen to and trust your body, to go inwards and to cut out all of the noise, because it took me such a long time to get there. And I kind of had to stumble through it and come to it on my own. And I want to help you get there a lot quicker than I did. Now, I just want to point out before we go on, I am not for a moment saying don't listen to your doctor. If your doctor is saying you need this medication, as we know, so many infertility diagnoses are medical conditions. No, like, you need to listen to your doctor and your specialist, please. But what I am saying is that when you have already done everything right, you've taken all of the meds, you've followed the protocol perfectly, and you're still not where you want to be, what can you do differently then? So that's where I want to help you today. And this is where I am saying you can make a shift. So let's get into it. The first part of really becoming aware of what you are allowing onto your journey and what is really serving you and what isn't, is I want you to come into this analogy of you driving the bus. So your fertility journey is a bus ride and you are the driver. You get to decide who gets onto the bus, who doesn't get onto the bus, and who gets to stay. You can tell them to come and you can tell them to go. So sure, your doctor gets to come onto the bus. That's fine. Maybe for a certain amount of time. Maybe you want to get a second or a third opinion. Maybe those doctors are allowed on the bus as well. And this includes other people like your acupuncturist or your Chinese medicine doctor, or, sorry, they're the same person. You know what I mean? Anyone who you find helps you, a naturopath, a fertility coach. Even things like supplements are allowed on the bus. Meditation's allowed on the bus. Ultimately, you decide who stays and who goes. And every time someone or something gets onto the bus, I want you to check in with yourself. How does it feel when they are here or when this thing is here? So how does it feel when you take this 25th supplement for the day? Does it feel like, oh yeah, this is the one. This is going to be the one that really, really helps me this month? Does it feel expansive to have these people or all of these things around you? Or do you feel resentful? I remember I had so many things on my list, on my schedule of my must-do fertility appointments. I had the acupuncture, I had the massage, I had the reflexology, the hypnosis. There was, and all these appointments take up so much time and so much money. And I was so resentful of having to go to all of them. So check in with that. Does it feel supportive? Does it feel safe? Are you going to these appointments and are you leaving feeling like you were supported, that you were getting your needs met? Because these base needs, when our nervous system really does recognize that we're safe, are incredibly important. We can't move forwards without that base sense of control and safety. So when you know that it doesn't, when things feel heavy or confusing or they feel a little bit off, this is your intuition speaking. This is your body telling you that something isn't right. And your mind and your body are not separate. They are highly, highly interconnected at every moment of the day. Here is the thing. Intuition is not urgent. It's not loud and it's not panicky. Your intuition is quiet and calm and it's quick. It's something that you just know and you don't question it. That's that gentle knowing where it kind of at the back of your mind, you just sort of say, this feels right or something feels off. I think a lot of people have this misconception that intuition is this very special gift that some people have and some people don't have. But that isn't true. Every single one of us has experienced our intuition. We've all had that experience of thinking, well, I shouldn't walk down that dark alley, or something about this person doesn't feel right. This sort of their vibe is off a little bit. Even if there's no obvious reason why, that is your body speaking. That is your inner wisdom. And I really want you to get used to listening to that, because it is not something that we are taught to do. And if you're unsure how to do it, I have so many resources and programs where I can help you start tapping into that. Different things are going to work for different people. So if you want to start trying some of those things for yourself, have a look, at some of the links that I have in the show notes as well. The next part here that I really want to speak about is protecting your energy. This is important. We have this sort of notion that we kind of walk around the world and we're just, we are our own person, and, sometimes we feel like we pick up on other people's emotions and some people we don't. But in reality, our energy is very, very susceptible to things around us, to language and to other people's energy and to beliefs that other people have. So I have this memory of walking into an appointment, and I hear this so often from my students as well. I remember when I first started IVF, I was kind of excited, which sounds really naive, but I was excited. I was like, well, here is something that's actually going to finally help me. And I remember going to that appointment thinking, oh, here we are. We're finally going to make progress. I've got the next steps coming up. And I remember leaving so deflated and depressed because that doctor was all doom and gloom. They're like, well, this is basically your only shot. You need to do it really, really quickly. I don't like your odds. And I took all of that on and I left that appointment feeling completely flattened by a bus. And I thought, well, this is never going to happen. When you are in that situation, this is your nervous system responding to other people's energy. So we respond energetically to words, to tone, to information, to emotions of others. And one of the problems with seeking out treatments is that we put doctors on a pedestal. And in some ways, that's not a bad thing because, they do have to go and study and learn for a very, very long time. And their capabilities are amazing. Let's not forget that. But if, like me, you are then somehow 38 and your third round of IVF hasn't worked and you've got two different doctors telling you that donor eggs are your pretty much only option. And just by the way, side note, there is absolutely nothing wrong with donor eggs and choosing that route. But I wasn't there yet. I wasn't ready to walk down that path and I didn't feel like deep down that was for me. But when you have these experts all around you telling you that this is your only option, it is so hard not to listen to them. So I think that it is incredibly important to find a practice where you can say, look, I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to listen. I'm going to take it all on board, but I'm going to make my own decisions because you absolutely do not have to do what that particular doctor says. You are absolutely within your right to go and get a second or a third opinion, and you can still make your own decisions from that. So in these moments, you are not powerless. You can protect your energy and you still get to decide who gets on and off the bus. So there's a little bit of a woo-woo hack for you. Next time you are going into an appointment and maybe you just want to protect your energy a little bit. You're not sure how it's going to go. You're not sure what their advice is going to be. Or maybe you're preparing to hear test results and you're just prepping for the worst. I want you to take a moment to visualize, maybe it's in the waiting room or the car before you go in. Just think for a moment, get quiet, slow down your breath, and imagine this beautiful ball or shield of golden light surrounding you. So really imagine this light is surrounding you like a force field, a physical barrier. And I want you to take that visualization with you as you go into that appointment. And we're not then closing off anything that doctor or that specialist might say to you, but you might want to repeat to yourself something as simple as, I am open to receiving support, but I am safe and protected in my own space. And I think if you can do that and really take those deep breaths as you come in, your breath is so, so powerful. That just allows you to stop and reflect a little bit more before you react to some of the things that they can say. You may also want to place a hand on your lower belly, maybe one on your chest, and remind yourself, I'm safe, I can handle this. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see what I'm doing. But if you're listening to this, I'm going to explain. There's also an acupressure point just between the thumb and the index finger. It's like that little webbed, fleshy part of the top of your hand. That is a wonderful acupressure point for helping relieve stress. So you can gently press with your thumb and just massage that area really gently, slow down your breathing, and imagine this beautiful golden force field of light around you before you go into these appointments. That is an incredibly powerful way to protect yourself. And you can't always control what's going to happen in these appointments, as we well know, but you can control the energy that you bring in and the energy that you take home. So let's move on now to this shift. How do we really give ourselves what we need on this journey? The biggest shift, as I said, happened for me when I stopped waiting for someone else to give me the answers. And I just decided I was going to give it to myself. I decided this was going to happen for me, no matter what. And I know that sounds like an easy decision to make in hindsight, but I really did in that moment just decide that I was done. I was done listening to, every doctor telling me it was too late for me. And then I was needing to think about donor eggs and maybe going down the adoption route. And again, like, there is nothing wrong with any of that. But if you're not there yet, you don't have to do it. So the thing that I think people then get a little bit confused with is you can't go from that decision to, okay, well, tomorrow I'm going to get a positive pregnancy test. Maybe you will. Maybe you're listening to this and tomorrow you do get your positive pregnancy test. And I hope, if nothing else, then that would happen to at least one person. That would be incredible. But really, we can't go from 0 to 100 all at once. It is far too overwhelming for our nervous system, and it's something that your brain is going to deem unsafe. It'd be just too much, too soon. There is this awesome quote that I love from Tony Robbins, and I've repeated this to myself so many times. And he says, the secret to happiness is progress. And I think we need to see changes. We need to see small increments of things that are shifting in order to feel like we're moving forward, to have that reassurance that we're on the right path, that things are headed in the right direction. So what small changes can you start to notice? If you've been listening to this podcast for a while and you've been building up your little routines and your toolkit, and you're finding all of the things that really work for your nervous system, and you're finding these little practices that help you regulate, I want you to really start noticing what has shifted, what has changed within your own life. Is your cycle a little more consistent or a little bit easier, leading up to your period? Maybe you've got less PMS. Are you sleeping better? Are you less irritable? Do you feel like you're a little bit nicer to be around, or if you're anything like me, a little bit nicer to your husband in the midst of all of this? So these are all signs that you are making a shift, and you have created these on your own, within your own body. I think that is incredibly powerful, and we don't stop to recognize that enough. I remember I used to teach about 40 classes a week, 40 different Pilates classes, personal training sessions. I was just go, go, go. And I was of this mindset that if I worked hard enough, if I worked more, maybe I would finally get rewarded with the things that I wanted. I would get the promotion. I would get all of the things that I had been working towards. It was how I always lived my life. Effort equals reward. But infertility, honestly, it completely cracked me open. It changed everything that I thought about the world, because we know that the fertility journey is that one place where effort doesn't equal reward. It really doesn't. The perfectionism, the overworking, it really forced me to slow down and just take stock of what I was doing. I honestly don't believe that everything happens for a reason. I know you meet so many yoga teachers and they're all very, well, this is happening for you. And I'm sorry, but I have met too many women who have been through too many unfathomable experiences to ever think that this journey happens entirely for a reason. You can't go through some of these incredibly awful experiences and say to someone, well, that was happening for you. I'm sorry you lost your baby at 39 weeks, but that was serving you. I honestly don't believe that. But I do believe that everyone goes through something. And what matters most is how we move through it. So what we then decide to do afterwards, what do we learn? What do we let go of? What do we choose to carry forwards and throughout the rest of our life? So when you start to shift that thinking, when you are giving yourself all of the feelings that you have been chasing, the safety, the peace, the possibility, the hope, that self-love, that self-care that you really, really owe yourself, everything begins to shift. You start creating from a place of wholeness, not from lack, not from what's the next thing that I can do better or to get someone else to do for me. So I want you to find one small thing. It can be tiny every day that gives you that feeling. Maybe it's as simple as sitting in the sun for 5 minutes and just receiving the warmth on your face. Maybe it's saying no to something, just putting in a boundary that perhaps you wouldn't have before. Maybe it's finding your own practice, a yoga practice, meditation, a journaling, a breathwork practice, finding what works for you. These things, when you start to notice these shifts, these moments of, I feel better in my skin, I feel more capable, I feel like I can manage the next steps of this journey a little bit more easily. These are the things that are helping you get to where you want to be. Honestly, the most powerful thing I ever did on this journey, like I said, it wasn't the next supplement, it wasn't the tests or the treatments. It was remembering that I'm the one that's going to help me get pregnant. So everything else, they are there to support you. But remember, you are the one driving the bus. Your intuition is your compass. It's that quiet voice that inside you, it already knows the way. You just have to learn to trust it. We don't have to start chasing it or make extra effort to, really start following certain paths. We just need to make space to hear it and to let some of those moments of inner guidance come in. I want you to remind yourself that you're not powerless. You are connected. And again, you are the one who is going to help you get pregnant. You're doing beautifully. I promise you, even if it doesn't feel like it right now, I think it just helps to be reminded of that sometimes. The more you come home to yourself and the more you listen to podcasts like this, you make that time, even if it doesn't feel like it right now, the more everything will begin to shift. Because when I finally got that positive pregnancy test, against all odds, mind you, as we well know, I didn't have an easy journey of it. When it finally happened, and it happened because I made it happen. I didn't go through a certain treatment or didn't do anything outside of me. I was like, what else can I do? It was the most empowering thing I had ever experienced. I thought, well, if I can do this, I can do anything. And I want that for you too. I hope you found this episode helpful or insightful. It's something that I'm really passionate about. It's something we have to, I think, be a little bit careful speaking about because, as I said, I don't want you to ever go against medical advice, but there is a balance and there is a point where I think we need to take a little bit of responsibility for what is really going on in the background and how we are looking after ourselves on this journey as well. Now, if you want to hear a conversation with a fertility doctor who does actually listen to her patients and can help guide you on perhaps what are some of the things you should be considering if you are going down the path of medical treatments, next week on the podcast, I get to sit down with the one and only Dr. Natalie Crawford. She truly understands the depths of the fertility journey because she walked it herself. I'm so excited to interview her and for you to hear this episode next week. So I'm looking forward to having you back. If you found this episode was helpful for you today, it would be such an honor if you could share it with someone who you think might need it. We never know who might be struggling, who might just need to hear something from a different perspective. If you have 1 minute, if you could leave a quick written review of the show, that would be fantastic. It is the best way for me to help get the word out to as many people here as possible. So I look forward to having you back with me next week. But until then, I am sending you all of my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility. The most common thing I hear from students who are on their fertility journey is that the stress of trying to conceive has taken over their life. Your days end up being filled with endless appointments, navigating pregnancy announcements. You're trying to eat right, take all your supplements, and it is all you think about from the moment you wake up. I designed the Element Fertility Yoga course to support your body, your mind, and your mental health in 3 important ways: to synchronize your hormones, increase circulation and blood flow, and to help regulate your nervous system. But on top of this, the greatest gift that you can give yourself throughout this journey is a sense of peace, to help you calm your mind and just make this process feel easier. Every single one of my students tell me that this is the first thing they notice after starting a yoga, meditation, and breathwork practice. But on top of this, you have the amazing benefit of actually supporting and increasing your fertility. Studies have shown that those participating in mind-body programs as they're trying to conceive have success rates 3 times greater than those who don't. The course I've designed walks you through natural conception as well as fertility treatments and IVF cycles. And the best part is you can work through it at your own pace in the comfort of your home. The practices start from just 10 minutes per day. To learn more, visit elementpilatesyoga.com or see the link in the show notes.